You don't need to make it any more difficult than this. Why would you even do that? So I'm working with these people today and just legends out in North Carolina, just kids, grandkids. They're just awesome. The guy's like, hey, relative to your clients, they're in the late 60s, legends, married, loving each other. He says, we don't hold each other back in terms of what we want to spend. How many of your clients are like that? So, well, my clients, pretty much all of them don't hold each other back because most of my clients, for some reason, I attract a certain group of people, which is, generally speaking, married Christians, and not all married. I got lots of single people too, don't get me wrong, but conservatively minded Christians. I've had a couple Muslims, a couple Jewish people, but generally speaking, salty earth, not quite blue collar necessarily, but definitely blue collar minded that know how to fix engines and stuff. And I don't know how to fix engines. It's crazy. But for some reason, I track that kind of mindset. People just live below their means. They value $1. They're not lighting cigars with $100 bills. They love their wives. Their wives maybe love their husbands. You don't say it, but generally speaking, that kind of group of people, just like, I don't need to live in luxury. I just like to be who I am. If I need to go freaking fix a carburetor, I can do it. If I want to go on a vacay, I can do it. But I'm just who I am, and that doesn't mean if you want to take a luxurious vacation, I'm gonna yell at you. Not at all. Trust me, I've taken many luxurious vacations. The luxurious for me might not be luxurious for you. We fly coach and stuff, but. Anyway, so my man, he's got a perfect scenario where he's pulling just enough from his 401, his IRAs to keep him at the tax bracket. I forgot it was 12 or 22. I was just say 22% tax bracket. So he doesn't want to go above the 22% tax bracket. He's pulling just enough to keep him there. And we're roughly $75,000 a year is what we're pulling. And he's like, what should I do with it? And he basically got 3 accounts. What are you doing, puppy? He's got the Ginnie Mae, the Wellesley, and the Wellington. He goes, should I do anything different? And then no, what are you doing? And then his brokerage account has VTI. It's like it's like so great. Brokerage account, VTI, Wellesley, Wellington, and Ginnie Mae in the IRA, 22% or 12, I think it's a 22%. Dude, why make it any harder? Why make it any harder than that? It doesn't make sense. So any excess proceeds he's not living off, he funnels into VTI, and he's got a little bit in the bank too because he had to buy a new car and whatnot. So check this out. So I said to myself, or not myself, I said to valueinvesting.io. I love valueinvesting.io and his portfolio visualizer sold their soul for rock and roll. And we're going to go back as far as we can. And we're going to put Vanguard, Wellesley, Wellington, and Ginnie Mae. And we're going to do a third, a third, a third. You can see we got 34% of Wellington to keep it. And then we're going to compare it to the S&P 500. And this goes back as far as we can. I don't think am I rebalancing here? No, I didn't rebalance. So we'll come back and we can rebalance, but I'm not here. Anyway, so you can see what happens here at the end of where we start in it goes back to 1980. Portfolio Visualizer did not go back that long. And I think I started with, how much did I start with here? We started with, how much did we start? Hold on a second. So we started with $10,000 in 1980. Pablo, stop. It's worth now $116,000. Compounded annual growth rate is 5.58. Standard deviation of 7.85. Worst year is 14%. I'm sure that's in 2022. Maybe it was in 2008. Probably 2022, actually. Max drawdown is 21%. Now you can see the growth on S&P 500 has been significantly higher. $10,000 in S&P 500 is worth $619,000 now. Compounded annual growth rate about 4% above each, or 400 basis points above what we had each and every year. Significantly higher standard deviation, twice the standard deviation, about 3 times the downside. All right, look at that. About what's that? I don't know what that is. More than twice, well more than twice. So 3 times the downside in terms of bad years. Max drawdown significantly higher than the max drawdown. And so you can see, look at that, dude. I mean, this is just 5 points. So it's one thing to say, I want the growth, not when you're retired. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I want now. I want this right now while I'm still working. I don't want that while I'm freaking retired. You see the difference? Look at that worst year. Look at that max drawdown. What are you getting into over there? So don't be fooled by shooting for this when you're retired. It's 5.58 compounded annual growth rate from 1980, which includes the Ginnie Mae, the Wellington, and the Wellesley Fund. I mean, you just can't shake a stick at that. Does it tell how much each account's worth at the end? Maybe not. Does it tell us how much each account's worth at the end? Maybe not. I guess it doesn't. Any returns? Allocate. There we go. Oh man, look at allocation drift. Sweet. So at the end, Ginnie Mae's only got 7.4. Wellington's got 66.6, and Wellesley's at 26%. Well, that's pretty cool. I think that's a new thing they just did right there. Ooh, I like that a lot. Anyway, so what if we rebalanced instead? We're going to hit rebalance, rebalance and frequency. We're going to do it I hate to do it every year. I'd rather do it every 5 years. But anyway, and we're going to do rebalance every year. I hate rebalance everything. I think it's just, I just don't think it's worth it. But anyway, be it as it may, our compounding annual growth rate went to 4.9. All right, and the reason for that is because we're taking money out of Wellington, which had performed much better, and we're putting back into Ginnie Mae and Wellesley. All right, so that's what happens in a rebalance. Nothing wrong with doing that. I just don't think you need to do it every year. But anyway, as you can see, so we now are at 10,000 is 86,972. All right, but now let's go. I don't want to rebalance because I just don't think you need to. Let's go none. But now we're just going to go back to 2000. Start the year in 2000, this century, because we had some significant downside on the front end of the aughts. And so we're going to go here, backtest portfolio, and you can see our compounding annual growth rate 6.83 versus S&P 500 7.92. $10,000 invested in our portfolio is $55,000. $10,000 in the S&P 500 is $71,000. So having missed the 1980 to 1990s decades, we don't look nearly as bad as the S&P 500 did. Why do you keep looking? No, there's nothing in that, buddy. And it's the thing, a max drawdown significantly lower than the S&P 500. Worse here, significantly lower. Yeah, we had sacrifice a little bit on the upside, but again, the upside isn't what we're shooting for. It's just not necessary. I mean, we want to grab some upside. We're still grabbing some, but we're not shooting for it. And then we could just go the last 15 years and say, let's just keep this simple, man. We'll even go to 2009 because we started the year poorly, but we ended up in a positive realm. And what S&P 500 is going to smoke us for sure. But even in 2009 to today, we're still at $10,000, $34,000 over the last 15 years because the bonds haven't done anything. Still, a compounding annual growth rate of 7.65. It means you're doubling your money every 10 years. Can't beat that. Compounding annual growth rate for the S&P 500 is twice us, doubled us. The question is, will that continue? But again, we're not looking for compounding annual growth rate to get all we can. We're looking to essentially keep it simple, stupid, and to get some growth above and beyond inflation, but not get smoked at the same time. That's all I need. That's all I need. Perfect. Anyway, God bless. Love your thoughts. Smash that like button. We'll see you.